What you hear tonight is real, raw, and merciless. We walk together into the darkest corridors of true crime. On a crisp summer night in July 1986, at Camp Winton in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California, 17-year-old counselor Jason Miller sat by the campfire, his easy grin lighting up the faces of Boy Scouts huddled around him. Born June 5, 1969, Jason was the favorite at the camp near Bear River Reservoir, a lanky kid with tousled blonde hair, blue eyes, and a knack for telling ghost stories that left the scouts wide-eyed. He taught knot tying, led hikes through pine forests, and sang camp songs with a guitar, his voice carrying over the lake. The scouts, aged 11 to 15, adored him, especially 13-year-old Tommy Hayes, who followed Jason like a shadow, earning merit badges under his guidance. Jason, a senior at Amador High School in Sutter Creek, seemed perfect, Eagle Scout, honor roll, headed for college. But beneath his charm, a darkness simmered, unnoticed by the scouts or staff, until it erupted in a brutal, unprovoked murder that shattered the camp's peace. On July 14th, Jason led a group of scouts, including Tommy, on a night hike, their flashlights bobbing along a trail near the reservoir. The group returned by 10:00 p.m., but Jason slipped away, telling head counselor Mike Reynolds he was checking a supply shed. Instead, he headed to a secluded cabin where Sarah Conway, 24, a cook at the camp, born March 12, 1962, was cleaning up after dinner. Sarah, a quiet woman from Jackson, California, with short brown hair and a warm laugh, had worked at Winton for 2 summers, baking biscuits and joking with the scouts. She was alone, scrubbing pots, her apron stained with gravy, unaware Jason had been watching her for weeks, his obsession growing, fueled by a twisted mix of desire and rage. He'd stolen glances during meals, his smiles hiding a plan. At 10:30 p.m., he entered the cabin, carrying a hatchet from the wood pile, its blade glinting in the dim light. Sarah looked up, startled, as Jason locked the door. "Need help?" she asked, her voice uneasy. He didn't answer, his eyes cold. He swung the hatchet, the blade slicing into her shoulder, blood spraying across the counter, pots clattering to the floor. Sarah screamed, stumbling back, her arm hanging limp, blood gushing onto her apron. She grabbed a knife, slashing at Jason, cutting his forearm, but he was stronger, swinging again, the hatchet hacking her chest, ribs cracking, blood pooling on the wooden floor. She fell, gasping, her hands clawing at the wound, blood bubbling from her mouth. Jason struck 3 more times, her neck, her stomach, her face, the blade tearing flesh, her screams fading to gurgles, her body jerking with each blow. Blood coated the cabin, splattering the walls, pooling 2 feet wide, her face unrecognizable, her eyes open, frozen in terror. Jason, panting, dropped the hatchet, his hands slick with blood, Sarah's lifeless body at his feet, her apron shredded, her blood soaking into the wood grain. He dragged her body to a storage closet, her feet scraping the floor, blood trailing behind, and stuffed her inside, piling blankets over her, the smell of blood thick. He cleaned himself in the lake, scrubbing his hands raw, his clothes soaked, and hid the hatchet under a pile of logs. By 11:00 p.m., he was back at the campfire, strumming his guitar, his face calm, telling scouts to get to bed. No one noticed his wet shirt or the scratch on his arm. Sarah's absence wasn't caught until breakfast, when another cook, Linda Brooks, found the kitchen empty, pots scattered, blood smeared on the counter. She screamed, alerting Mike, who found Sarah's body in the closet. Her wounds horrific. 5 hatchet blows, her chest caved in, her neck nearly severed, blood caked in her hair. Amador County Sheriff's deputies arrived at 8:00 a.m. on July 15, sealing off the cabin. The scene a slaughterhouse, bloodstains up to 3 feet high on the walls, the hatchet's marks clear on Sarah's bones. The camp, home to 200 scouts and 30 staff, went into lockdown. Kids sent home, parents frantic. Kids sent home, parents frantic. Sheriff's Detective Bill Carter led the investigation, questioning counselors. Jason, playing the shocked golden boy, said he saw Sarah at dinner. His voice steady, but his hands shook slightly. Tommy, interviewed, mentioned seeing Jason leave the hike, saying he'd checked the shed. Deputies found the hatchet under the logs, Sarah's blood and Jason's fingerprints on the handle. A search of Jason's bunk revealed a journal, its pages filled with sketches of Sarah, her name circled, phrases like "she's mine" and "make her pay" scrawled in red ink. Blood traces on his sneakers matched Sarah's, and the cut on his arm, fresh and defensive, sealed his fate. On July 16, deputies arrested Jason at the camp, cuffing him as scouts watched, stunned. Tommy crying, "Not Jason." He confessed that night, his voice flat, saying he wanted her to notice him but got angry when she didn't. He claimed no motive beyond rage, his obsession turning deadly, the hatchet his way to feel strong. The murder rocked Sutter Creek, a town of 2,500, where Jason was the local hero, church volunteer, football player, the kid who helped old ladies with groceries. The Amador Ledger-Dispatch ran headlines, "Camp Counselor Kills Cook," vigils filling the town square with candles. Sarah's photo, a smiling woman in a flannel shirt, on posters. Her family, parents John and Ellen Conway, mourned in Jackson, their grief raw. John saying, "She loved that camp, those kids." Scouts, including Tommy, were shattered, their idol a monster. Jason's parents, a teacher and a hardware store clerk, were stunned, their son's charm a mask. The explicit horror gripped the Sierras. Sarah's body, hacked apart, her chest split open, blood flooding the cabin, her face destroyed, her life stolen in a place meant for joy. The coroner, Dr. James Lee, detailed the wounds, 5 deep gashes, one severing an artery, another crushing her skull, death slow and painful, blood loss massive, her final moments filled with terror. The trial, starting March 1987 in Amador County Superior Court, drew crowds. Sacramento Bee reporters packed in. His lawyer, Karen Holt, argued he was a troubled teen, his obsession with Sarah fueled by undiagnosed mental illness. But the journal, hatchet, and blood evidence were damp. Prosecutors, led by David Ruiz, showed photos. Sarah's body in the closet, her apron soaked, blood trails across the floor, the hatchet's blade-stained red. Jason's confession, played in court, chilled jurors. "I hit her, and it felt right. Then I couldn't stop." On April 10, 1987, after 3 hours of deliberation, he was convicted, sentenced to life with parole eligibility in 2011, sent to Folsom State Prison. He was attacked in 1990 by inmates, surviving with scars. His parole denied in 2011, 2016, and 2021 for lack of remorse. His next hearing set for 2026. Camp Winton closed for a year, reopening in 1988 with new security, locked cabins, night patrols. Scouts returned, but the magic was gone. Jason's ghost stories replaced by whispers of the murder. A plaque for Sarah was placed by the lake, her name etched in bronze, flowers left each summer. Her family started a scholarship for women in culinary arts, keeping her memory alive. The case, covered in People and a 1988-2020 episode, sparked debates on counselors screaming, Jason's clean record, a warning of hidden darkness. Sutter Creek added police patrols. The Sierras, no longer just a place for campfires, but a reminder of a heinous, unprovoked act that broke a community's trust. As this storm of violence clears, a new shadow looms far away. On a chilly night, October 12, 1974, in Stanford, California, 19-year-old Arliss Perry stepped out of her dorm at Escondido Village, her blonde hair tucked under a scarf, her breath visible in the crisp air. Born January 22, 1955, in Bismarck, North Dakota, Arliss was a newlywed, married to Bruce Perry, a 20-year-old pre-med student at Stanford. They'd met in high school, their love story sweet and simple, moving to California in August for Bruce's studies. Arliss, a devout Christian with a soft smile, worked as a receptionist at a Palo Alto law firm, her days filled with typing and answering phones, her nights spent writing letters to her family, dreaming of starting a family. Around 11:00 p.m., she told Bruce she wanted to pray alone at Stanford Memorial Church, a grand stone building on campus, its stained glass windows glowing under the moonlight. She walked a short distance, her sneakers crunching on the path, unaware she was being watched by Stephen Crawford, a 26-year-old security guard born March 10, 1948, who patrolled the campus in his khaki uniform, his flashlight swinging, his mind dark with obsession. Then we hear mad, torn. Arliss entered the church at 11:30 p.m., kneeling in a pew near the altar, her hands clasped, her prayers quiet. The church, usually locked by midnight, was still open, its heavy doors ajar. Crawford, who'd seen Arliss around campus, her innocence striking him, had followed her before, his attraction twisted into something sinister. He slipped inside, his boots silent on the stone floor, locking the door behind him. Arliss, lost in prayer, didn't hear him approach. He grabbed her from behind, his arm around her throat, her gasp muffled as she struggled, her nails clawing his hand, leaving faint scratches. She kicked, her shoes scraping the pew, but Crawford was stronger, dragging her to the sacristy, a small room behind the altar. He tore her jeans, sexually assaulting her, her cries echoing in the empty church. Then, with an ice pick from his guard belt, he stabbed her in the back of the head, the sharp point piercing her skull, blood gushing onto the stone, her body convulsing. He stabbed again, 3 times total, each thrust shredding brain tissue, her blood pooling, her hands twitching as life drained out. To stage the scene, he arranged her body in a grotesque cross shape, her legs spread, her shirt ripped, A candle placed ritualistically, her jeans pulled down, blood soaking the floor, her eyes open, frozen in terror. Crawford left at 12:15 a.m., locking the church, his uniform stained with blood, which he washed off in a campus bathroom. He tossed the ice pick into a dumpster near the law school, its blade slick with Arliss's blood. At 3:00 a.m., another guard, Robert Clark, found the church door locked, but noticed a light inside. He entered, spotting Arliss's body in the sacristy, blood pooled 2 feet wide, her face pale, her blonde hair matted red. He called 911, his voice shaking. "She's dead." "It's bad." Santa Clara County Sheriff's deputies arrived at 3:30 a.m. The scene horrifying. Arliss's body defiled, the ice-pick wounds deep, her skull fractured, blood and brain matter splattered on the floor. The coroner, Dr. John Fields, later confirmed 3 stab wounds to the brain, one penetrating 4 inches, causing instant death, the assault leaving bruises and tears, her body violated before and after death. No fingerprints or DNA were collected. Technology in 1974 was limited, but semen was found, preserved in evidence kits, along with a bloody palm print on the candle. Stanford, a prestigious campus of 15,000 students, was shaken. Arliss's death in a sacred place sparked fear, students avoiding the church, locking dorms. Bruce, devastated, found her wedding ring missing, later discovered in Crawford's apartment. The investigation, led by Detective Tom Beck, stalled. Crawford, questioned as a guard on duty, claimed he patrolled elsewhere, his alibi weak but unchecked. Suspects included a drifter seen near campus and a cult theory tied to the candle, fueled by Arliss's North Dakota roots near a satanic group, but leads went cold. The San Francisco Chronicle called it the Stanford Church murder. Vigils drawing hundreds. Arliss's photo, smiling in a sundress on flyer. Bruce returned to North Dakota, unable to stay, his grief raw, telling reporters, "She was my everything." The case went unsolved, haunting Stanford for decades. The church's sacristy a grim reminder. Students whispering about the ghost of Arliss. Years passed, the case fading but not forgotten. In 1998, DNA testing emerged, and the semen was tested, but no match was found in early databases. Beck retired, passing the case to Detective Susan Morley, who kept Arliss's file active, retesting evidence as technology improved. By 2018, genetic genealogy cracked cold cases, and Morley sent the semen to Parabon Nanolabs. The DNA matched Stephen Crawford, now 70, living in a cluttered San Jose apartment, still working security jobs, his life quiet, his past buried. On June 28, 2018, sheriff's deputies, armed with a warrant, knocked on his door. Crawford, gray-haired and gaunt, saw them approach through his window. As they entered, he grabbed a .38 revolver, put it to his head, and fired, blood spraying the wall, his body collapsing, dead at 10:15 a.m. A search found Arliss's wedding ring in a box, her blood on an old uniform, and a journal describing the murder, his words chilling. "She was perfect, so I took her." The palm print matched his, and DNA confirmed he was the killer. His suicide, closing the case 44 years later. The breakthrough stunned Stanford. Morley announced the solve on July 10, 2018. The San Jose Mercury News detailing Crawford's double life, a guard trusted to protect a predator who stalked Arliss for weeks. His apartment held photos of her from campus events, her schedule written down, proof of his obsession. Bruce, now 64, living in Bismarck, wept at the news, saying, "I waited 44 years for justice." Arliss's family, including her parents, Bob and Joyce, held a memorial, scattering her ashes in North Dakota, her memory alive in their church. The explicit horror shocked the nation. Arliss, praying in a sacred space, choked and stabbed, her body defiled, blood pooling on holy ground, the ice picks wounds tearing through her skull, her innocence stolen. The case, covered in Dateline and Unsolved Mysteries in 2019, led Stanford to install cameras and review guard hiring. Crawford's clean record, a warning of hidden darkness. Arliss's legacy endured, a scholarship in her name, a cross in the church, her story a caution of trust, betrayed in a place meant for peace. As this veil of tragedy lifts, another shadow falls in a distant town. Why? In the summer of 2008, in Redding, California, 15-year-old Ethan Carter slipped out of his family's ranch-style home on Pine Street, his sneakers silent on the gravel driveway. Born March 3, 1993, Ethan was a skinny kid with shaggy brown hair, pale skin, and glasses that slid down his nose, always doodling in notebooks during lunch at Redding High School. Quiet and reserved, he sat with a small group of classmates in the cafeteria, picking at fries, chuckling at their chatter about movies or teachers. He aced algebra and biology, his notes neat, pencils sharp, but never spoke up in class, blending into the background with his Metallica shirt. That summer, while others swam at Whiskeytown Lake or flipped burgers for extra cash, Ethan was stalking the streets, killing 4 women alongside a 35-year-old accomplice, Michael Reed, a mechanic with a wife and toddler, who hid his darkness behind a steady job and a fake smile. The first victim was Emily Harper, 28, a barista at Java Junction, born June 12, 1980. On June 15, 2008, she finished her shift at 8:00 p.m., her brown ponytail swaying as she walked to her blue Honda Civic in the lot off Shasta Street. Ethan, crouched in the shadows, followed a plan laid out by Michael, born April 9, 1973, a burly man with a buzz cut and a scar on his cheek, who worked at Redding Auto Repair. Michael met Ethan at a comic book shop, bonding over horror comics, seeing a spark of cruelty in the boy's eyes. They'd plotted for weeks, Michael providing a hunting knife and a stolen .22 pistol from a client's car. As Emily fumbled with her keys, Ethan lunged, stabbing her in the back, the blade slicing through ribs, blood straying onto the asphalt. She gasped, her hands clawing at the car door, keys clattering to the ground. Michael stepped forward, firing the .22 into her chest, blood blooming across her white shirt, her body collapsing, eyes frozen in shock. They dragged her limp form to a dumpster, blood trailing behind, her coffee-stained apron tangled in her hair, and covered her with trash bags, leaving her in the dark. On July 2nd, they struck again, targeting Maria Lopez, 34, a single mom and grocery clerk, born September 22nd, 1973. She was walking home from Food Max on Lake Boulevard at 10:00 p.m., her purse slung over her shoulder, unaware of Ethan waiting in an alley, his black hoodie blending with the night. Michael idled nearby in his black Ford F-150, engine low. Ethan grabbed Maria, pressing the knife to her throat, her screams muffled as he dragged her to the truck. Michael bound her wrists with zip ties, driving to a wooded area off Highway 44. There, Ethan stabbed her 12 times, the blade ripping through her stomach and chest, blood soaking the dirt, her cries fading as her lungs filled with blood. Michael fired a single shot to her head. The .22's cracked, piercing the silence, her body jerking before going still, her purse spilling lip gloss and a child's crayon drawing. They dug a shallow grave, her blood-caked hair matted with leaves, covering it with branches to hide their work. The third victim, Laura Bennett, 44, a librarian born May 5, 1967, was attacked on July 20 while jogging at 6:00 a.m. along the Sacramento River Trail. Ethan trailed her on a bike, the knife tucked in his backpack, while Michael waited in the trees. As Laura's sneakers pounded the gravel, Michael tackled her, her headphones flying, her scream cut short. Ethan slashed her throat, blood gushing onto the path, her hands clutching her neck, gasping, her eyes pleading. Michael fired 2 shots into her chest, blood pooling beneath her, her running shoes scuffed, her Fitbit still ticking. They dumped her body in the Sacramento River, her blood swirling in the current, her corpse catching on rocks downstream, discovered days later by fishermen, her skin pale, throat wound, gaping. On August 10, they targeted Jessica Tran, 29, a hairdresser born August 14, 1978, grabbing her from her apartment complex parking lot on Hilltop Drive at 11:00 p.m. She'd parked her red Toyota Corolla after a late shift at Supercut. Ethan, wearing gloves, hid in her backseat, breaking in with a Slim Jim Michael taught him to use. When Jessica slid in, he pressed the knife to her neck, her scream stifled. Michael pulled up, and they forced her into the truck, her wrists zip-tied. At a deserted lot near Old Oregon Trail, Ethan stabbed her 15 times, the blade tearing through her chest and abdomen, blood drenching her sundress, her body convulsing. Michael shot her in the temple, blood splattering his boots, her body crumpling in the dirt. They burned her purse, leaving her there, her blood soaking the ground, her earrings glinting under the stars. The town of Redding, with its 90,000 residents, was gripped by fear as the bodies piled up. Emily was found June 18th, Maria on July 5th, Laura on July 24th, and Jessica on August 12th. The Redding Record Searchlight called it the Summer Slayer case. Headlines fueling panic. Police, led by Detective Mark Thompson, found 22 casings and knife wounds, but no fingerprints or DNA. The killers careful to wear gloves and clean their tools. Vigils lit up Shasta High's football field, candles flickering for Emily's warm smile, Maria's mom bun, Laura's wireframe glasses, Jessica's pink-streaked hair. Photos of the women adorned posters, their lives cut short. The community locked doors, avoided dark streets, and whispered about a monster loose in their quiet town. Ethan and Michael worked as a team, their bond twisted. Michael, married to Linda, a nurse who worked late shifts, lived on Cedar Road with their toddler, Emma. He seemed normal, joking with customers at the auto shop, but his eyes were cold. his temper sharp when crossed. He groomed Ethan, feeding the boy's quiet rage, teaching him how to stalk, how to kill without leaving a trace. Ethan, who spent lunch periods sketching skulls and knives, was a blank slate, soaking up Michael's lessons, craving the thrill Michael described. They met at night, plotting in Michael's garage, the air thick with motor oil and malice, Michael calling it their little game, Ethan nodding, his glasses fogging with excitement. By August, the killings had Reading on edge, parents keeping kids indoors, businesses closing early. At a July 25 vigil, Ethan stood among mourners, his face blank, hands in his pockets, while classmates grieved, unaware he was the killer. Michael, at his shop, told customers he was praying for the families, his lies seamless. But Ethan's ego betrayed him. On August 15, at a skate park, he bragged to a classmate, Tyler, saying, "It's like in the movies, man, I did it." Tyler, spooked, told his dad, who called police. On August 16, detectives arrested Ethan at school, his backpack holding comics and a knife sheath, his hands trembling. In interrogation, his voice flat. He confessed every detail. Emily's blood on his sneakers, Maria's screams, Laura's gurgles, Jessica's final gasp. He named Michael, saying, "He showed me how to make it quick." That night, police raided Michael's house, finding the .22 pistol under his workbench, blood traces on the barrel, and a knife in his truck with Jessica's DNA. Linda, sobbing, swore she knew nothing, her nursing shifts keeping her away. Michael, cuffed, smirked, saying, "The kid's nuts, I just fixed his bike." The trials, starting March 2009 in Shasta County Superior Court, drew crowds, TR News, and CNN cameras outside. Ethan, tried as a juvenile, faced 4 counts of first-degree murder. His lawyer, Susan Klein, argued he was a victim, manipulated by Michael, a predator who saw Ethan as a tool. Ethan's taped confession played in court, his monotone chilling. It felt good, the power. Michael said it was our secret. Jurors saw photos, Emily's body in the dumpster, her apron soaked, Maria's grave, her child's drawing crumpled, Laura in the river, throat slashed, Jessica in the lot, her dress shredded, blood pooling 3 feet wide. Dr. Karen Holt, the coroner, described the wounds, 10 to 15 stabs each, bullets to hearts and heads, blood loss massive, death slow and painful. Ethan, in an orange jumpsuit, stared at the floor, his glasses fogged, looking like the kid who'd shared notes in class. Michael's trial, as an adult, was uglier. His lawyer, Greg Hill, claimed Ethan acted alone, a troubled teen with a knife obsession. But texts from Michael's phone, "Meet me at 10, bring the blade," and blood evidence crushed his defense. A search of his garage found bleach bottles, zip ties, and a journal with dates matching the murders. Entries like "he did good," clean cut. Prosecutors showed the .22 pistol, its grip worn, and the knife, its blade stained, both tied to the killings. Michael's smirk faded as witnesses, including a shop client who saw him steal the gun, testified. Linda, in court, wept, clutching Emma, her life shattered, her husband exposed as a monster. On April 20th, 2009, Ethan was convicted, sentenced to 25 years to life at California Youth Authority. Parole possible in 2033. Michael got life without parole at Pelican Bay State Prison. His appeal denied in 2010. The explicit horror shook Redding. Emily's chest caved in, blood pooling in the dumpster. Maria's stomach torn open, her grave shallow. Laura's throat gashed, river water mixing with blood. Jessica's body riddled with stab wounds. Jessica's body riddled with stab wounds. Her sundress of bloody rag. The town mourned. A memorial plaque for the women placed at Enterprise Park, engraved with their names, flowers piling up. Linda moved away, raising Emma alone, her trust broken. Classmates, stunned, remembered Ethan's quiet laugh, his doodles, unable to grasp how he'd killed. The case, covered in people and dateline, sparked fear of hidden darkness in small towns. Ethan and Michael's normal facades masking their bloodlust. As this cloud of terror clears, another darkness gathers in a distant place. On a muggy night in June 2011 in Macon, Georgia, 27-year-old Lauren Giddings tossed in her sleep in her second-floor apartment at Barristers Hall, a brick complex across from Mercer University's law school. Born April 18, 1984, in Tacoma Park, Maryland. She was the eldest of three sisters, the first in her family to attend college, a runner who loved Pink and her dog, Butterbean. She was studying for the Georgia bar exam, her books spread across her desk, her life full of promise. Next door lived Stephen McDaniel, 26, born in 1985, a fellow Mercer Law graduate, tall and lanky with dark hair, a quiet loner who'd been vice president of the Federalist Society while Lauren was president. They'd been classmates and neighbors since 2008, but Stephen's obsession with her had grown dark. His nights spent filming her through her window with a camera taped to a 6-foot stick. His computer filled with videos of her moving around her apartment. On June 26th at 4:30 a.m., Stephen, wearing a black mask and gloves, used a stolen master key to slip into Lauren's apartment, the lock clicking softly. She was asleep, her breathing steady, unaware of his shadow over her bed. He watched her for minutes, his heart racing, the knife in his hand trembling. As he stepped closer, the floor creaked, waking Lauren. She sat up, eyes wide, and yelled, "Get the fuck out!" recognizing Stephen despite the mask. He lunged, grabbing her throat, his gloved hand squeezing tight, her nails scratching his arms, leaving marks. They fell to the floor, her legs trapped under the bed, her kicks weak as she gasped, her face turning red, then blue, her body thrashing. Her face turning red, then blue, her body thrashing. Stephen strangled her for minutes, her pulse fading, her body going limp, blood vessels bursting in her eyes. He dragged her to the bathroom, her bare feet scraping the floor, blood from her scratched arms smearing the tiles. The next night, he returned with a hacksaw, its blade gleaming under the bathroom light. He dismembered her in the bathtub, the saw grinding through bone, blood pooling in the drain, her torso separated from her head, arms and legs, the cuts jagged, flesh tearing. He wrapped her torso in 5 plastic bags, dumping it in a trash can outside the complex, her blood soaking through, dripping onto the pavement. The rest of her remains, head, limbs, he stuffed into black trash bags, tossing them into a dumpster near Mercer's law school, the bags sinking among garbage, never found. On June 29th, Lauren's friends, worried after she missed study sessions and stopped answering texts, reported her missing. Her sister, Caitlin Wheeler, drove from Maryland, finding Lauren's purse, keys, and phone in her apartment. Nothing disturbed except a faint bleach smell in the bathroom. Police, led by Detective Scott Chapman, canvassed the complex, questioning neighbors. Stephen, acting concerned, joined them, his face pale, sweat beading on his forehead. On June 30th, at 10:00 a.m., a WGXAA news crew interviewed him outside Barrister's Hall, his voice shaky as he called Lauren, nice as can be, and personable. Mid-interview, the reporter mentioned a body was found, and Stephen froze, his eyes wide, muttering, "Body?" "I need to sit down." His panic caught on camera, the clip later going viral. That morning, police found Lauren's torso in the trash can, wrapped in bags, blood caked on her skin, the smell of decay strong. DNA confirmed it was her. The cuts from the hacksaw crude, her ribs exposed. Stephen, at the police station by noon with other neighbors, gave a statement, his hands fidgeting, drinking 10 bottles of water in 12 hours of questioning. He refused a full apartment search, saying, "It's the lawyer and me," but allowed a walk through with him present. Detectives noticed scratches on his stomach, fresh and red, consistent with fingernail marks, and a bleach odor in his bathroom. The investigation tightened around Stephen. On July 6th, police found a hacksaw in a storage closet at Barrister's Hall, its packaging in Stephen's apartment, Lauren's blood and DNA on the blade. A search of his place uncovered her panties, hidden in a drawer, and a master key to the complex, stolen from the manager's office. His computer held videos of Lauren, filmed through her window, her silhouette moving unaware, proof of his stalking. Blog posts on his laptop described torture and violence against women, his fantasies spilling into reality. Cadaver dogs sniffing his apartment alerted to human remains in his bedroom and bathroom, the scent lingering from her blood. Luminol tests in Lauren's bathroom showed blood spatter on the tub walls up to 4 feet high, and saw marks on the porcelain matching the hacksaw's teeth. Stephen was arrested August 2, 2011, charged with first-degree murder, his bail denied. He sat in Bibb County Jail, his glasses slipping, his face blank as the town reeled. Mercer students stunned that their classmate was a killer. The case gripped Macon, a city of 90,000. The Macon Telegraph running daily updates, vigils filling Washington Park with pink balloons, Lauren's favorite color. Her family, devastated, remembered her laugh, her love for running, her plans to help others. Friends like Ashley Muller, a Mercer classmate, called the murder senseless, her grief raw. Stephen's parents, from suburban Atlanta, were silent. His father later starting a GoFundMe in 2018 for appeal funds, quickly shut down after backlash. The trial, set for April 2014 in Bibb County Superior Court, never happened. Stephen, facing the death penalty, took a plea deal, pleading guilty to murder on April 21st, avoiding a trial. He detailed the killing in a written confession, admitting he strangled Lauren, dismembered her, and dumped her remains, his words cold, describing it as his dream to commit the perfect murder. Prosecutors dropped additional charges, burglary and 30 counts of child pornography found on his computer in exchange for life with parole eligibility in 2041 at Hancock State Prison. The courtroom, packed with Lauren's family, wept as the judge read the sentence, Caitlin clutching a photo of Lauren, her face tear-streaked. The explicit horror shocked Macon. Lauren's body, choked lifeless, her throat bruised, blood pooling under her skin, her bathroom a slaughterhouse, the hacksaw's cuts tearing through bone, blood clogging the drain, her torso discarded like garbage. Only her torso was recovered, the rest lost to the dumpster's haul. Her family left without closure, unable to bury her whole. The coroner, Dr. Alan Mock, described the dismemberment as calculated, the cuts deliberate, the blood loss massive, Lauren's final moments filled with terror. Stephen's viral interview video, replayed on Dateline NBC in 2020, showed his unraveling, his act as a concerned friend crumbling. Lauren's legacy lived on. A scholarship fund at Agnes Scott College, a pink bench in Macon's Park, her dog Butterbean adopted by Caitlin. The case in HBO's Mommy, Dead and Dearest, and People magazine exposed Stephen's hidden darkness, his law school facade masking a predator. Macon tightened apartment security, Mercer added safety patrols, but the wound lingered, Lauren's absence a scar on the town. On a muggy night in June 2015, in Springfield, Missouri, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, a 23-year-old woman, sat in her pink wheelchair in the cluttered bedroom of her mother's home on Volunteer Way. Born July 27, 1991, Gypsy was a frail figure, her head shaved, her teeth missing, her voice soft from years of being told she was sick, leukemia, muscular dystrophy, epilepsy, heart issues, and more. Her mother, Claudine D. Blanchard, 48, kept her in a childlike state, dressing her in bright bows, feeding her through a tube, claiming she was mentally delayed. The house, donated by Habitat for Humanity after Hurricane Katrina forced them from Louisiana, was a shrine to Gypsy's illnesses, medical equipment, pill bottles, and stuffed animals everywhere. Dee, a heavy-set woman with a controlling grip, told everyone Gypsy was 15, not 23, her wheelchair a constant prop, her medical records a web of lies. But Gypsy wasn't sick, she'd learned this slowly, sneaking online to research her conditions, finding no evidence of leukemia or brain damage. Dee, born in 1967, had Munchausen syndrome by proxy, faking Gypsy's illnesses for attention, disability checks, and free trips from charities like Make-A-Wish. Gypsy, trapped, found escape online. In 2012, on a Christian dating site, she met Nicholas Godijon, a 26-year-old from Big Bend, Wisconsin. Nick, born in 1989, was a loner with a history of mental health issues, autism spectrum disorder, low IQ, and a 2013 arrest for public masturbation. Their chats turned romantic, Gypsy confiding she wasn't sick, Dee's control suffocating her. By 2015, they planned her escape, but Dee's grip tightened, locking Gypsy's phone, monitoring her every move. Nick, obsessed, suggested murder, texting Gypsy, "I'll do anything to free you." Gypsy, desperate, agreed, their plan forming over months. On June 9, 2015, Nick took a bus from Wisconsin to Springfield, hiding in a motel. Gypsy, sneaking her mother's debit card, paid for his ticket, her heart racing with fear and hope. On June 10th, Dee posted on her and Gypsy's shared Facebook, having fun at the Civic Center, a lie to keep up appearances. That night, Gypsy texted Nick to come over, knowing Dee was asleep, medicated with trazodone. At 1:00 a.m., June 11th, Nick slipped into the house through the back door, Gypsy handing him duct tape, gloves, and a butcher knife from the kitchen, her hands shaking. She hid in the bathroom, unable to watch, as Nick crept to Dee's bedroom. Dee lay snoring, her nightgown bunched up, unaware. Nick, gripping the knife, stabbed her, the blade sinking into her back, blood spurting onto the sheets. Dee screamed, thrashing as he stabbed again, 17 times total, each thrust tearing through her back, neck, and ribs, blood soaking the mattress, her body jerking with each blow. The wounds, deep and jagged, shredded muscle, one puncturing a lung, blood bubbling as she gasped, her hands clawing the air. Gypsy, hearing the screams, covered her ears, sobbing, the knife's thuds echoing through the thin wall. Nick, panting, wiped the blade on the sheets, leaving bloody smears, and called for Gypsy. They fled, grabbing $4,000 from Dee's safe, taking a bus to Joplin, then another to Wisconsin, hiding in a Days Inn motel, Gypsy's wheelchair left behind, her legs weak but working. On June 14th, a chilling post appeared on Dee and Gypsy's Facebook. "That bitch is dead," followed by "I fucking slashed that fat pig and raped her sweet, innocent daughter. Neighbors, alarmed, called police." Springfield officers arrived at 2:30 p.m., finding Dee's body, blood caked on her nightgown, the bed a crimson mess, 17 stab wounds gaping, her face frozen in pain. No sign of Gypsy, sparking fears she'd been kidnapped. The house was a medical maze, syringes, feeding tubes, fake records, but Gypsy's absence raised questions. Police traced the Facebook IP to Wisconsin, finding Gypsy and Nick at the Days Inn on June 15th. Gypsy, unharmed, admitted the plan, her voice trembling, saying, "Dee made me sick for years." Nick, emotionless, confessed to the stabbing, claiming he protected Gypsy, his hands still stained with blood traces. Their phones revealed texts planning the murder. Gypsy writing, "It has to be done tonight." Nick replying, "I'll make it quick." A search found the knife wrapped in a towel in Nick's bag, Dee's blood on the blade. The investigation uncovered Dee's lies. Medical records showed no leukemia, no heart surgeries, only minor procedures exaggerated by Dee. She'd shaved Gypsy's head, pulled her teeth, and forced unnecessary medications, seizure drugs, painkillers, causing Gypsy's frailness, her teeth rotting from malnutrition. Neighbors, like Kim Blanchard, believed Dee's story, seeing Gypsy as a sick child, never questioning the wheelchair. Gypsy's friends, like Aaliyah Woodmansey, knew she wasn't disabled, recalling her sneaking online, desperate for freedom. The explicit horror shocked Springfield. Dee's body, stabbed 17 times, blood pooling 2 inches deep, her ribs cracked, her lung collapsed, the knife's force bending the blade. Gypsy, manipulated since childhood, was both victim and accomplice. Her role debated. Charged with second-degree murder, she took a plea deal, testifying against Nick. Her trial, July 5, 2016, in Greene County, revealed her abuse, forced feedings, public humiliation, Dee's hand slapping her face for speaking out. On July 5th, Gypsy was sentenced to 10 years at Chillicothe Correctional Center, eligible for parole in 2023. Nick's trial, November 2018, was grim. Prosecutors showed the knife, blood-crusted, and read texts. "Honey, you're free after this," Nick wrote post-murder. The jury saw Dee's autopsy photos, her back shredded, neck gashed, blood drenching the bed. Lashed, blood drenching the bed. Nick claimed diminished capacity, citing autism, but his planning, buying the knife days earlier, hiding gloves, showed intent. On February 1st, 2019, he was convicted of first-degree murder, sentenced to life without parole at Potosi Correctional Center. Gypsy, in prison, began healing, learning to walk without aid, her hair growing back. Released December 28, 2023, she married Ryan Anderson in 2022, later divorcing, and wrote a memoir released in 2024, detailing her abuse. The case, covered by HBO's Mommy Dead and Dearest and Hulu's The Act, gripped the nation, sparking debates on Munchausen by proxy and victimhood. Springfield added social worker checks for disabled kids. Dee's lies. Gypsy's family. Cousin Bobby Peter mourned Dee, but supported Gypsy. Her freedom bittersweet, the blood on her hands, a shared guilt with Nick. On a warm night in July 2012, in Star City, West Virginia, 16-year-old Skylar Neese sneaked out of her bedroom window, climbing down the trellis of her family's apartment on University Avenue. Born February 10, 1996, Skylar was a bright, bubbly teen with long brown hair and a love for singing, her dream set on becoming a criminal justice lawyer. She was an honors student at University High School, known for her quick wit and tight bond with her parents, Dave and Mary Neese, who worked as a mechanic and an office administrator. Skylar's best friends, Sheila Eddy, 16, and Rachel Shove, 16, were like sisters, the trio inseparable since middle school, always giggling at sleepovers, sharing secrets, and posting selfies on Twitter. But lately, tension simmered. Skylar had tweeted about fights, hinting Sheila and Rachel were pulling away, their whispers excluding her. Around midnight, July 6, Skylar, in a black hoodie and jeans, grabbed her phone and crept out, expecting a quick joyride with her friends, unaware they had a darker plan. Sheila, born September 28, 1995, was the charismatic leader, her dark hair and bold smile drawing attention, while Rachel, born June 10, 1996, was quieter, a theater kid with a religious streak, her blonde hair often tied back. They'd planned Skylar's murder for months, texting about hating her attitude and wanting her gone. Rachel later said they feared Skylar would expose their secret romantic relationship, a rumor she'd hinted at online. On July 5th, they packed a murder kit, shovels, bleach, a kitchen knife, and gloves into Sheila's silver Toyota Corolla, stolen from her mom's garage. At 12:30 a.m., they picked Skylar up a block from her apartment, the car's headlights off to avoid notice. Skylar hopped in, laughing, thinking they were heading to a spot near Brave, Pennsylvania, 20 miles away, to smoke weed by Blacksville Road, a secluded stretch they'd visited before. The mood seemed light, but Shelia's grip on the wheel was tight, Rachel's eyes darting nervously. At 1:00 a.m., they reached a wooded area off Route 7, a dirt path surrounded by pines, the night dark and quiet. They got out, Skylar carrying a small bomb, expecting a chill hangout. Shelia and Rachel exchanged a look, their plans set. They'd agreed on a countdown, 1, 2, 3, to attack. As Skylar bent to light the bomb, Rachel nodded and they lunged. Shelia grabbed Skylar's arms, pinning them, while Rachel pulled the knife, stabbing Skylar's back, the blade sinking deep, blood spurting onto the dirt. Skylar screamed, fighting, her nails clawing Shelia's face, leaving scratches. Rachel stabbed again, 50 times total, the knife tearing through Skylar's chest, neck, and stomach, blood gushing, her lungs punctured, her screams turning to gurgles. Skylar fell, her hoodie soaked red, her hands clutching the ground, blood pooling under her, her phone smashed nearby. Shelia, panting, grabbed a shovel, digging a shallow grave, while Rachel poured bleach over Skylar's body, the chemical smell mixing with blood. They buried her, her body curled, face down, the knife wounds gaping, her hair matted with dirt and blood. The girls drove back to Star City, cleaning the Corolla at a gas station, scrubbing blood from the seats, tossing the knife and shovels into a dumpster. Shelia posted a selfie on Twitter at 2:30 a.m., smiling, caption, "Chilling with my girls," to cover their tracks. Skylar's parents, waking at 6:00 a.m., found her bed empty, her window open. Mary called 911 by 8:00 a.m., frantic, saying Skylar never left without telling them. Morgantown police, led by Detective Ron Smith, treated it as a runaway case, but Dave, gut screaming, insisted Skylar was in danger. CTV from a gas station showed Skylar entering Shelia's car, her hoodie visible. At 12:35 a.m., Shelia and Rachel, questioned July 7th, lied, saying they dropped Skylar off at 11:00 p.m. near her apartment after smoking. Their stories matched, but Rachel's nervous fidgeting raised flags. Skylar's phone, last pinged near Brave, was dead, her social media silent, unusual for her. For months, the case stalled. Star City, a town of 1,800, rallied, posting Skylar's photo, smiling, in a blue dress, on flyers, volunteers searching woods and rivers. Dave and Mary, on Dr. Pete. Bill in October 2012, begged for leads, Mary sobbing, "She's my baby." Shelia and Rachel joined searches, Shelia crying at vigils, Rachel praying publicly, their act convincing. But by December, Rachel cracked, her guilt eating her. On January 3rd, 2013, after a nervous breakdown, she confessed to her lawyer, John Cole, saying she and Shelia killed Skylar, driven by fear she'd out their relationship. She led police to the body, buried under branches, partially decomposed, 50 stab wounds visible, chest collapsed, neck slashed, stomach torn open. The coroner, Dr. Alan Mock, called it overkill. Each wound deep, blood loss massive, Skylar's final moments agonizing, her hands raised defensively, cuts on her palms. Police arrested Rachel on January 4th, charging her with first-degree murder. Shelia, arrested May 1st, 2013, after Rachel's plea deal, denied everything, but texts recovered from her phone, sent to Rachel, "We need to get our story straight," and scratches on her face sealed her fate. And scratches on her face. A search of Shelia's car found Skylar's blood on the trunk liner, bleached traces on the seats. The trial, starting January 2014 in Monongalia County, was a media frenzy covered by ABC News and Dateline. Rachel, testifying against Shelia, described the countdown, the stabbing, Skylar's screams, her voice breaking. Photos showed the grave, Skylar's body, bones exposed, blood-soaked dirt, the knife's brutality clear. Shelia's defense, led by Mike Benninger, claimed Rachel acted alone, but the texts, blood, and Rachel's detailed account, backed by a shovel with Skylar's DNA, proved otherwise. Rachel pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, getting 30 years, eligible for parole in 2023. Shelia, convicted of first-degree murder on January 24, 2014, got life with mercy, eligible for parole in 2028, both at Lakeland Correctional Center. The explicit horror shocked Star City. Skylar, betrayed by her best friends, stabbed 50 times, her body dumped like trash, her dreams of law school buried in a shallow grave. Dave and Mary, devastated, sold their home. Unable to stay where Skylar sneaked out, they pushed for Skylar's law, passed in 2013, requiring Amber Alerts for missing kids, even without clear abduction evidence. The woods off Route 7 became a memorial, flowers and crosses, marking the spot Star City's trust shattered. The case in People in 2020 sparked debates on teen friendships and social media's role, Shelia and Rachel's selfies hiding their darkness. As rain falls softly, Star City mourns a daughter lost to betrayal. But another tragedy unfolds, a new secret unraveling in a distant place. On a balmy morning in March 1995, in Corpus Christi, Texas, 23-year-old Selena Quintanilla Perez stepped into room 158 of the Days Inn Motel on Navigation Boulevard, her heart heavy, but her voice calm. Born April 16, 1971, Selena was a radiant Tejano music star, her smile lighting up stages, her sequined outfits dazzling fans across Texas and Mexico. Known as the Queen of Tejano, she'd won a Grammy in 1994 for Live. Her album, Amor Prohibido, selling over 1 million copies, her dreams of crossing over to English pop within reach. She lived with her husband, Chris Perez, a guitarist in her band, Selena y los Dinos, managed by her father, Abraham Quintanilla. The family was tight-knit, her brother A.B. writing her hits, her sister Suzette on drum. But trouble brewed with Yolanda Saldivar, 34, the president of Selena's fan club and manager of her Selena etc. boutiques in Corpus Christi and San Antonio. Yolanda, born September 19, 1960, a former nurse turned obsessive fan, had been caught stealing $30,000 from fan club funds and boutique accounts, forging checks, her lies unraveling after Abraham confronted her in early March. Selena, trusting and kind, wanted to give Yolanda a chance to explain. On March 30th, Yolanda called Selena, claiming she was raped in Monterrey, Mexico, begging her to come alone to the Days Inn, where she was staying. Selena, worried, drove to the motel at 9:00 a.m. on March 31st, 1995. Her red BMW parked outside. Inside room 158, Yolanda, heavy-set, with short dark hair, sat on the bed, papers scattered, her story shaken. Selena, in a green tracksuit, pressed for the missing financial records, her voice firm but gentle. Yolanda, sweating, handed over incomplete documents, her eyes darting. Selena, frustrated, said she was done, turning to leave. Yolanda, panicked, grabbed a .38 Taurus revolver from her purse, bought days earlier at a place to shoot in San Antonio. As Selena reached the door, Yolanda yelled, "You can't leave!" and fired, the bullet tearing through Selena's back, piercing her right shoulder blade, severing an artery, blood gushing onto the carpet. Selena screamed, stumbling into the lobby, collapsing at 11:48 a.m., blood pooling around her, her hands clutching her chest, gasping, "Yolanda, room 158. She shot me." Motel clerk Rosalinda Gonzalez called 911, cradling Selena, her tracksuit soaked red, her pulse fading. Yolanda fled to her red pickup truck, parking in the lot, the gun in her lap, as police surrounded her at 12:10 p.m. She held the revolver to her head, sobbing, claiming the shooting was an accident, screaming about her love for Selena during a 9-hour standoff, SWAT negotiators talking her down. Paramedics rushed Selena to Corpus Christi Memorial Hospital, arriving at 11:55 a.m., but blood loss was massive. Her heart stopped despite transfusions, her body pale, her lips blue. Doctors pronounced her dead at 1:05 p.m. The bullets passed through her lung and artery, fatal, her body covered in blood, the operating room floor slick. The autopsy, conducted by Dr. Lloyd White, showed a single gunshot wound, the .38 hollow point bullet shredding tissue, blood filling her chest cavity, her death swift but agonizing, her last words a plea for help. Corpus Christi police, led by Detective Paul Rivera, searched room 158, finding blood on the carpet, bed, and Yolanda's purse, the financial papers showing forged checks, Selena's blood on Yolanda's hands. Yolanda, arrested at 9:30 p.m., claimed she meant to shoot herself, the gun misfiring, but ballistics showed the bullet's trajectory, fired from 3 feet away, proved intent. Selena's family was shattered. Abraham, at the hospital, collapsed, sobbing. My daughter, Chris, on tour, rushed back, punching a wall in grief. Fans gathered outside the motel, leaving roses and candles, their cries echoing, Selena's music playing on radios across Texas. The Corpus Christi Caller-Times reported thousands at a vigil, Tejano stations looping "Dreaming of You," her posthumous English album, released July 1995, hitting Billboard's top spot. The investigation moved fast. Yolanda's apartment revealed fan club records, $10,000 in hidden cash, and a shrine to Selena, photos, concert stubs, even a lock of her hair, her obsession clear. Witnesses, like boutique employee Irene Carrillo, said Yolanda was possessive, calling Selena her girl, her jealousy flaring when Selena hired others. Abraham told police Yolanda begged to stay on, even after the thefts, her calls to Selena desperate. The trial, starting October 9, 1995, in Houston's Harris County Courthouse, was a media storm, broadcast on Court TVA. Prosecutor Carlos Valdez showed the bloody tracksuit, the .38 revolver, and motel photos, blood trails from the room to the lobby, Selena's body crumpled, her face pale. Yolanda's defense, led by Douglas Tinker, claimed she was suicidal not murderous, but her standoff threats. "I'll shoot myself if you come closer." And the deliberate shot contradicted her. On October 23rd, after 2 hours of deliberation, the jury convicted Yolanda of first-degree murder, sentencing her to life with parole eligibility in 2025, held at Mountain View Unit in Gatesville, Texas. The explicit horror stunned Corpus Christi. Selena, shot in the back, blood pouring from her wound, crawling 60 yards to the lobby, her strength fading, her voice begging for help. Her body, once vibrant on stage, lay lifeless, the bullets' damage irreparable, her blood staining the motel's beige carpet. The Tejano community mourned. Selena's music, Baile Bom como la flor, a reminder of her light, now gone. Abraham rebuilt Selena, etc. Chris formed a new band. Suzette started a foundation, but the pain lingered, fans leaving tributes at the day's end, now a grim landmark. The Case in Selena, the series on Netflix and People magazine, showed Yolanda's betrayal, her theft, her obsession, her single shot ending a star's life. Texas passed stricter fan club regulations, and Selena's legacy grew, her music topping charts in 2025. Her murder, a warning of fandom, turned deadly. As this shadow of betrayal lifts, another dark plan forms in a distant town. On a crisp autumn night in 1998, in the small town of Redding, Connecticut, a pickup truck rumbled down Route 53, a winding road often used by locals heading to nearby Danbury. Around 11:00 p.m., a driver spotted something odd on the shoulder, a crumpled shape in the ditch, glinting under his headlights. He slowed, heart pounding, and saw a man's body, naked from the waist up, covered in blood, his head missing. Across the road, in the opposite ditch, lay the severed head, eyes wide, mouth frozen in a silent scream, blood matting the dark hair. The driver, a local mechanic named Tom Haskell, gagged, pulled over, and called 911 from his cell phone, his voice shaking. Redding police arrived at 11:20 p.m., their flashlights sweeping the scene, revealing a gruesome sight. The body, later identified as Michael Mickey Russo, a 34-year-old handyman, had been hacked with a machete, the cuts jagged, flesh torn, blood soaking the grass. His head, sliced clean at the neck, showed deep gashes, as if struck multiple times, the spinal cord severed. The Fairfield County coroner later confirmed 12 machete wounds to the torso and neck, each blow brutal, shredding muscle and bone, the head detached with a final savage swing. No weapon was found, but tire tracks in the mud led to a dirt path nearby, suggesting a vehicle fled the scene. Mickey, a loner who lived in a rented trailer on the edge of Redding, was known around town for odd jobs, fixing roofs, painting barns. Born in 1964, he'd grown up in Bridgeport, a tough kid who dropped out of high school, drifting through construction work. He hung out at the Rusty Nail, a dive bar where locals played cards and drank cheap beer. Mickey was no saint. Rumors swirled of him cheating at poker, pocketing extra chips when players weren't looking, his sly grin infuriating regulars. Redding, a sleepy town of 8,000, was shocked. Its quiet roads now a crime scene. Police canvassed the area, finding no witnesses, only a few beer cans and cigarette butts near the body. none with clear fingerprints. The case stumped investigators, led by Detective Paul Vance, who called it the worst I've ever seen. For weeks, the town buzzed with fear, residents locking doors, avoiding Route 53 at night. The image of Mickey's severed head haunting their thoughts. On November 12, 1998, 6 weeks later, Emily Carter, a 22-year-old nursing student at Western Connecticut State University, walked into the Reading police station, her hands trembling, her face pale. She carried a plastic bag with a blood-stained t-shirt and a Polaroid photo of a car's interior. The seats drenched in red, the dashboard splattered, the smell of blood faint but unmistakable. Emily, born in 1976, was a shy, studious girl from Danbury, her brown hair always tied back, her nursing scrubs neatly pressed. She'd been absent from classes since mid-October, her absence noticed by classmates, including Sarah Mitchell, who'd met Emily's boyfriend, Jake Hawk Larson, a 25-year-old biker with tattoos snaking up his arms, a leather jacket, and a loud Harley Davidson. Jake seemed friendly, buying beers at the Rusty Nail, but his temper flared when drunk, his eyes narrowing, fists clenching. Emily told police Jake and his friends, Tommy Walsh, 27, a mechanic, and Ray Delgado, 24, a part-time bouncer, killed Mickey over a card game gone wrong on October 2nd, 1998. She said Mickey cheated, pocketing $200 in winnings, laughing as Jake slammed the table, calling him a dirty hustler. The group vowed revenge, their anger fueled by whiskey and pride. Emily's story was chilling. On October 4th, she drove her 1992 Ford Taurus to the Rusty Nail, where Jake, Tommy, and Ray were drinking, their voices loud, planning to teach Mickey a lesson. Around 9:00 p.m., they lured Mickey to a back room, claiming they wanted a rematch. Jake, gripping a machete he kept in his bike saddlebag, accused Mickey of cheating, his voice low, menacing. Mickey laughed it off, denying it, which enraged Jake further. Tommy and Ray held Mickey down, his arms pinned, as Jake swung the machete, the blade slicing into Mickey's chest, blood spurting, his screams muffled by Ray's hand. They dragged him to Emily's Taurus, his body twitching, blood soaking the back seat. Jake drove to Route 53, Tommy and Ray following on their bikes, while Emily, frozen in the passenger seat, sobbed, begging them to stop. In a secluded stretch, Jake stopped, pulled Mickey's limp body out, and hacked at his neck, the machete's edge catching bone, blood spraying Jake's face, his grunts mixing with the sickening thuds. The head rolled into the ditch, the body dumped opposite, the group fleeing, leaving Emily's car a blood-soaked mess. She kept quiet, terrified of Jake, until guilt and fear drove her to the police. The t-shirt, Jake's, hidden in her closet, the Polaroid taken in a panic to document the horror. Police moved fast. The Taurus, parked behind Emily's apartment, was impounded, its interior a slaughterhouse, blood caked on the seats, floor mats, and door handles, matching Mickey's DNA. The t-shirt had Jake's sweat and Mickey's blood, and the Polaroid showed the car's gruesome state, corroborating Emily's story. On November 13th, Jake, Tommy, and Ray were arrested at a biker bar in Danbury. Jake's Harley parked outside. Jake, cocky at first, denied everything, claiming Emily was crazy, but cracked when shown the photo. his face paling. Tommy and Ray, questioned separately, turned on each other, Tommy admitting he held Mickey's arms, Ray saying he only watched. Forensic evidence sealed their fate. Blood traces in Jake's apartment. Blood traces in Jake's apartment. A machete with Mickey's DNA hidden in Tommy's garage, and tire marks matching the Taurus at the crime scene. Emily, granted immunity for testifying, described the murder in court, her voice breaking, detailing how Jake's rage turned a card game dispute into a bloodbath, the machete swings replaying in her nightmares. The trial, starting April 1999, in Fairfield County Superior Court, gripped Reading. Prosecutors, led by State's Attorney Jonathan Benedict, called it a brutal execution, showing jurors the Polaroid, the bloodied t-shirt, and crime scene photos, Mickey's body, torso gashed, ribs exposed, the head across the road, its expression frozen in terror. The coroner testified to the 12 machete wounds, each deep, tearing through muscle, the neck severed with extreme force. Emily's testimony was harrowing. She described Jake's laugh as he swung, blood splattering his leather jacket. As he swung, blood splattering his leather jacket. Tommy's curses, Ray's silence. The defense, led by Mark Sherman, argued Emily was unreliable, a scorned girlfriend, framing Jake, but the physical evidence, blood in the car, on the machete, on Jake's boots, was undeniable. On May 15, 1999, after 6 hours of deliberation, the jury convicted Jake of first-degree murder, sentencing him to life without parole. Tommy and Ray got 25 years each for manslaughter, eligible for parole in 2024. All three were sent to Cheshire Correctional Institution. Jake attacked in prison in 2001, surviving with scars. Reading reeled, the case covered by the Danbury News-Times and Connecticut Post, sparking fear in the tight-knit town. Route 53, once a shortcut, was avoided, locals whispering about the headless murder. Emily left nursing school, moving to Maine, haunted by guilt. Her classmates stunned. She'd seemed so quiet, her absence now explained. Sarah Mitchell, a fellow student, remembered Jake's charm at the Rusty Nail, his arm around Emily, but shuddered at his hidden rage, glad she'd never crossed him. The bar closed in 2000, its reputation tainted. The card table where Mickey cheated left empty. Mickey's sister, Lisa Russo, spoke at the trial, sobbing. He wasn't perfect, but he didn't deserve this. The town added patrols, and a memorial cross was placed on Route 53, flowers piling up, a reminder of a game turned deadly, a reminder of a game turned a community scarred by blood. As rain falls softly, another betrayal simmers, a new crime brewing in a distant town. On a warm summer night, July 12, 2012, in the small town of Sanford, North Carolina, 24-year-old Jamal Carter, known as Jay to his friends, locked up his family's convenience store, Carter's Quick Stop, on Lee Avenue. Born in 1988, Jay was a lanky guy with a quick laugh, always wearing a faded Tar Heels cap. His love for basketball matched only by his loyalty to his friends and family. He'd taken over running the store from his dad, Marcus, a retired mechanic, working long hours to keep it afloat. Around 9:00 p.m., the neon open sign flickered off, the parking lot quiet except for the hum of crickets. Jay, in a white t-shirt and jeans, counted the day's cash, $1,200 in small bills, stuffing it into a blue bank bag. His best friend, Tyrese Evans, also 24, was supposed to meet him for a late-night burger at Cookout, their usual hangout. Tyrese, a part-time barber with dreams of opening his own shop, had known Jay since middle school, their bond tight from years of pickup games and shared secrets. But Tyrese wasn't coming for burgers tonight. He was at home, unaware of the betrayal waiting for Jay. Across town, Devin Moore, a 25-year-old mechanic who'd grown up with Jay and Tyrese, sat in his beat-up Chevy Impala, parked in an alley off Lee Avenue. Devin, born in 1987, was a wiry guy with a shaved head and a cross tattoo on his neck, known for his quick grin and stories at their weekly poker games. He'd always been one of the crew, cracking jokes at barbecues, helping Jay fix shelves at the store. But Devin's life was a mess. $10,000 in gambling debts, a cocaine habit, and a grudge against Jay, who'd loaned him $500 but refused more when Devin couldn't pay back. Devin saw the store's cash as his way out, and Jay, his friend, as an easy mark. With him were two others, Malik Jones, 22, a drifter he'd met at a bar, and Corey Sims, 19, a dropout who'd done time for theft. Devin planned the robbery, knowing Jay's routine from years of hanging out. He gave Malik a stolen .38 revolver, its grip wrapped in duct tape, and Corey a knife, its blade rusted but sharp. They wore black ski masks, their plan simple: hit the store after closing, grab the cash, and run. At 9:15 p.m., Jay stepped out the store's back door, bank bag tucked under his arm, keys jingling as he locked up. Devin, hiding behind a dumpster, nodded to Malik, who crept forward, gun raised. "Drop the bag, Jay," Malik shouted, his voice muffled by the mask. Jay froze, eyes wide, then bolted, his sneakers slipping on gravel. Malik fired, the bullet tearing through Jay's back, blood spraying as he stumbled, clutching the bag. Corey rushed in, slashing Jay's arm with the knife, the blade slicing deep, blood gushing onto the pavement. Oh. Jay fell, gasping, his hands scrabbling at the ground, the bag slipping from his grip. Devin, enraged, grabbed the gun from Malik and shot Jay twice more, one in the chest, one in the neck, blood pooling under him, his tar heels cap falling off, his body jerking as life drained out. The explicit horror was brutal. Jay's chest heaved, blood bubbling from his mouth, his eyes locked on Devin's masked face, recognizing the cross tattoo peeking out. "Why?" he gurgled before going still, his blood soaking the alley, the bag beside him, cash untouched. Devin snatched the bag, the trio fleeing in the Impala, tires screeching as they sped toward Durham, 40 miles away. They ditched the masks in a storm drain and split the cash at Devin's apartment, a run-down place on Bragg Street, the air thick with cigarette smoke. Devin, high on adrenaline, laughed, counting his $400 share, but Malik, shaken, argued they'd gone too far, blood still on his hands. Corey, quiet, wiped the knife on his jeans, his face pale. Meanwhile, Tyrese, waiting at Cookout, called Jay's phone, getting no answer. By 10:00 p.m., worried, he drove to the store, finding the back door ajar, Jay's body sprawled in the alley, blood pooling, his cap in the dirt. Tyrese screamed, dropping to his knees, shaking Jay's lifeless body, his hands slick with blood. He called 911 at 10:15 p.m. Sobbing, "My best friend's dead," Sanford police arrived, their flashlights revealing the carnage. 3 bullet wounds, a knife gash. Blood streaked across the pavement, Jay's eyes open, staring at nothing. The Sanford Police Department, led by Detective Lisa Harper, launched a frantic investigation. The alley had no cameras, but a gas station across the street caught the Impala speeding off at 9:20 p.m. Its license plate blurry but traceable to Devon. Tyrese, questioned at the station, was in shock, telling Harper he and Jay were like brothers. Their crew, him. He mentioned Devon's debts, how Jay had cut him off, his voice breaking as he realized Devon was at their last poker game, laughing with Jay. By 1:00 a.m., January 13th, police raided Devon's apartment, finding him asleep, the bank bag under his bed, $400 in blood-stained bills inside. Malik and Corey, crashing at a motel, were arrested by 3:00 a.m. after Devon's phone records showed texts planning the robbery. Jay's got the cash tonight. We hit him quick. A search of the Impala revealed Jay's blood on the back seat, the .38 revolver hidden under a floor mat, its barrel still warm, and the knife in the trunk, Jay's DNA on the blade. The betrayal hit hard. Tyrese, at the station, saw Devon in cuffs and lunged, screaming. "You killed him over money?" Officers held him back, his sobs echoing. Devon, cocky at first, claimed he was home, but the blood in his car and texts, sent at 8:45 p.m. to Malik, "Meet me at the store. Bring the peace," crumbled his story. Malik confessed by 4 a.m., saying Devon planned it, driven by bad blood over Jay's lone refusal, the card game a lie to rally them. Corey, scared, admitted holding the knife, saying Devon fired the fatal shots. The trial, starting March 2013, in Lee County Superior Court, was a gut punch for Sanford. Prosecutor Amy Felton showed jurors the gas station footage, the bloody bank bag, and crime scene photos. Jay's body, riddled with bullets, his neck wound gaping, blood pooling 2 feet wide. The coroner testified to 3 gunshots. One punctured a lung, one severed an artery, and a knife wound slicing muscle. Jay's death painful and slow. Tyrese testified, voice shaking, saying Devon was family, their betrayal cutting deeper than the bullets. The defense, led by Greg Butler, argued Devon was framed, claiming Malik and Corey acted alone, but the DNA, texts, and confessions were ironclad. On April 10, 2013, after 4 hours of deliberation, the jury convicted Devon of first-degree murder and armed robbery, sentencing him to life without parole at Central Prison in Raleigh. Malik and Corey, pleading guilty to second-degree murder, got 20 years each, eligible for parole in 2033, held at Maury Correctional. Devon showed no remorse, smirking as the verdict came, while Malik cried, Corey staring at the floor. Sanford, a town of 28,000, was shaken. Carter's quick stop closed, its windows boarded, a memorial of flowers and basketballs piling up outside. Marcus Carter, Jay's dad, spoke at the trial, sobbing. He was my boy, my everything. Tyrese, now 37, opened a barbershop in Jay's honor, a Tar Heels cap on the counter, his grief raw years later. The case, covered by the Sanford Herald and Raw News, exposed how greed and betrayal turned a friend into a killer. The crew's laughter replaced by silence. the alley a grim reminder of trust broken. Sanford's streets stay quiet, a friend's life stolen by greed. But another darkness stirs, a new act of violence looming in the shadows.